I firstly want to jump off and say thank you so much for everyone who responded so warmly to my new direction on my page. There's so much that I've learned on this whole journey of marriage and motherhood and a woman of God. So yeah, let's go on this journey together. On my IG page last week, I asked what you would like me to speak about first when it came to marriage. And the one that came with the highest votes was one thing that I wish I knew before I got married. Who's ready? I used to think that being on the same page meant that my husband and I had to agree on everything. Everything. I used to think if Yemi didn't agree with me, then something was wrong. We weren't in harmony, we weren't in unison, unity, all of that. And it just came down to me not really understanding what unity really looked like within a Christian marriage. Because I came from a childhood where everything was just brushed under the carpet. Whenever there was conflict, instead of actually sitting down and talking about things, there'll be complete silence in the house. No one would say a word to each other. Like, we would be in the kitchen making food, we'd be in the front room, would be in the same space, but there was not one word for days. And the only time there was a resolution was when someone would say something completely unrelated, be like something like, "Are you hungry?" And that was it. All for the sake of peace. We would just go back to normal, but nothing had been resolved. Nobody was heard, nobody was listened to, no one was understood. It was just a case of, let's just pretend and play happy families. But that wasn't healthy. So when I got married, I came into it with no framework of what healthy conflict actually looked like. And I had no idea that disagreement could actually be resolved with love, honesty, respect, understanding. So I would say in the first few years of our marriage, this was an issue that came up a lot, where we would have conversations and naturally we wouldn't agree on things. And I would find that whenever Yemi wouldn't agree with me, especially when I made a good point, I honestly felt anxious and low-key offended. Like, what do you mean? And it took me a while to realize that unity does not mean sameness. It doesn't. Because my husband and I, we are two different people, two different childhoods, two different backgrounds, two different perspectives on the world. I don't agree with myself sometimes. I would think something and the next day I'll think something else, but I didn't see it that way. I'm not talking about non-negotiables. There are things that we should not be okay about, and things where there's dishonor, there's lying, sneaking around, any form of abuse. What those are breaches of your covenant and trust. Yes, God calls us to be peacemakers, but He doesn't call peacemakers to silently sit there and endure things that are harmful or ungodly. Absolutely not. Those are black and white areas. What I'm talking about today are grey areas in marriage, where there's a difference of opinion on life, money, parenting, schedules, even preferences. But you're still walking forward in love, honor, and mutual respect. There are two verses that have really helped reframe my understanding on this topic. And the first one is Romans 12:18, that reads, "If it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men." And that verse really helped reframe my understanding, because peace in marriage is not the absence of conflict, but instead it's the presence of being committed to each other to work things out and through in love. And the other scripture is Ecclesiastes 4:9. "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor." Now notice it doesn't say two of the same are better than one, but it's implying that there's a strength in difference, especially when it's submitted to God. So now I'm not afraid about disagreement in marriage, because it's needed, it's necessary, and it's healthy. Instead, I now see it as an opportunity for us to grow together, to understand more about each other, and that only brings us closer in marriage. It's no longer something that is personal, like a personal attack against me, or like my husband's out to get me and doesn't want to understand where I'm coming from. Like, it's not that at all. Because you can be on the same team but have different plays. Like, for example, you have Saka on the right wing, you have Yukaresh on the front, you have Gabrielle on the back. You can see who we support here. But what matters is that you're playing towards the same goal. And that's exactly how it is in marriage. You are gonna have disagreements, you are gonna have different perspectives on things, but when they do arise and they come up, that's the opportunity to learn more about each other. And you're not meant to always be on the same page, because it's not the conflict that's the issue, it's where your heart is in the midst of the conflict. Because if God is in the center of it, it can actually be refining. So at the end of every video where I'm sharing with you like this, I'm going to share 2 practical pointers that have really helped me in marriage as a Christian wife. The first one I would say is choose the right time to have hard conversations. I had to learn about this one because sometimes we're actually on the same page, but we're just talking about it at the wrong time. Don't bring up budgeting or parenting styles when you're tired, stressed, or hungry. Just, that is not the time. What I choose to do now is, if there's a conversation on a heavy topic, I will wait till the end of the day when the kids are in bed, we're relaxed, we're calm, we're in our room, and I'm like, hey, honey, I want to talk to you about something. He's more receptive to hear what I want to say. I'm not highly emotional, and so I'm not coming at him with no, which I have. So yeah, I would say be intentional and set time aside to be focused on when it's time to have deeper conversations. That's the first one. And the second one I would say is find agreement on values, not just the decisions. You may not initially agree on how to do something, but you can come to an agreement on why it matters. For example, you may have different parenting styles with your spouse, but if you both agree on the fact that you want your children to be respectful, faith-filled children, that's your goal. And if you keep that as a focus without getting emotions and all of that playing into it, it really helps you stay grounded and focus on what it is that you're trying to work on together. So when you connect on values, it's a lot easier to have grace when it comes to different approaches and then eventually come to an agreement. So yeah, one of the things I wish I learned before I got married was that disagreement did not mean that there was disharmony. It wasn't a sign of failure. It wasn't a personal attack. It didn't mean that there was something wrong in our marriage or I had to project myself more. No. Instead, disagreements are an invitation to grow together, love better, and rely on God a lot more. If this has encouraged you or this is something that you're navigating as well, please comment below, let me know, and feel free to share it with anyone who you know may need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more open and honest conversations and lifestyle content on marriage, motherhood, and womanhood from a biblical perspective.